General Motors has officially released the Cadillac Lyriq for pre-sale. Apparently, they're going to deliver 25,000 of them this year, even though deliveries haven't yet started. However, is it good? Should you buy one? Well, an article just came up on GM's fan site that says that the Lyriq is heavier than the Cadillac Escalade. And does this mean that it's as good as General Motors claims it actually is? Well, let's have a look at the numbers and compare the Lyriq against its competition. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm the Electric Viking. Great to see you. Welcome to the new subscribers. Welcome back, everyone else. Cadillac Lyriq, pretty big. Bit bigger than a Tesla Model Y. In fact, it's about 25 centimeters longer than a Model Y. And it has a 100 kilowatt hour battery. Now, because it's bigger than a Model Y and, well, a lot heavier, in fact, nearly 600 kilos heavier, its range is actually shorter than the Model Y's range. Now, GM has made a song and dance. That could be an understatement. Let's be fair. They've made an absolute histrionics about how great the Ultium platform and Ultium batteries are. Are they great? Well, no one really knows yet. We haven't really had the opportunity to see them in the real world, to test them for a long period of time. We don't really know. But we do know the weight of this car. And you would think, considering it's a whole new platform using next generation technology, that the vehicle would be competitive in comparison to other vehicles that have been out for years now on the market. In fact, you would think it would be better considering it's a brand new product. Is it actually better? Well, first of all, let's have a look at the numbers when it compares to a much bigger internally combustion engine vehicle, the Cadillac Escalade. Now, of course, it needs to be said, EVs have huge advantages over internal combustion engine vehicles. So I'm only talking about one factor here, well, a couple of factors actually. But I'm not saying you should buy an Escalade. In fact, you shouldn't. They're rubbish. Internal combustion engine vehicles, they're the past. EVs are the future. So let's get that out of the way. I'm not recommending you buy an Escalade. That's ancient dinosaur technology. However, while it's true that sometimes EVs weigh more than internal combustion engine vehicles, it's not always the case. For example, the standard range Tesla Model Y is less than 1,800 kilos. There's plenty of vehicles in that segment, internal combustion engine vehicles, which have a smaller interior but weigh more than the standard range Tesla Model Y. So it's not true. GMAuthority.com claims that electric vehicles are always heavier than their internal combustion engine counterparts. It's not always true, as I just showed you. Offered in both a rear-wheel drive and all-wheel drive configuration, curb weight for the 2023 Cadillac Lyriq is 5,688 pounds and 5,915 pounds respectively. By comparison, the rear-wheel drive Cadillac Escalade, which by the way is an enormous vehicle, one of the biggest vehicles you can buy, weighs 5,635 pounds, while the all-wheel drive Cadillac Escalade is 5,823 pounds. You can see the Lyriq weighs more in both configurations. In fact, the Escalade is lighter than the Lyriq by 53 and 92 pounds respectively. Now, of course, the weight differences, they're not really all that big. But when you consider the size difference between the Lyriq and the Escalade, it becomes clear just how heavy the Cadillac Lyriq actually is. For example, the Lyriq has a wheelbase of 121.8 inches, an overall length of 196.7 inches or just on 5 meters long, an overall width of 77.8 inches, and an overall height of 63.9 inches. The Escalade is way bigger. Its wheelbase is 120.9 inches, but its overall length is 212 inches, meaning it's more than 15 inches longer than the Lyriq. Its overall width is 81.1 inches and its height is 76.7 inches. Now, need I remind you, the Cadillac Lyriq features GM's so-called brand new Ultium super duper technology. and its Ultium drive motors and Ultium battery tech. It comes with 340 horsepower or 500 horsepower if you get the all-wheel drive version. Range per charge is 300 miles. Now let's have a look at the Tesla Model Y. Actually, the Model Y's interior might be fairly similar to the interior size of the Cadillac Lyriq. Why? The Lyriq is definitely a bigger car, for sure. But you can see that bonnet is way, way longer than the bonnet of the Tesla Model Y. I think you'll find the interior space to be not all that different. As we can see by the recent video review comparing the Audi e-tron versus what? Tesla Model Y. Interior space of the Model Y was way bigger. In fact, the boot size was 3 times bigger. So, how heavy then is the Tesla Model Y? Well, first, yes, the Lyriq is a little bit wider. It measures 77.8 inches in width or 1,977 millimeters, whereas the Model Y is 75.6 inches or 1,920 millimeters. So a little bit different, a little bit wider for the Lyriq. Height is identical. Ironically, Lyriq and Model Y are identical to the millimeter. They are both exactly 1,623 millimeters high. However, the Tesla Model Y, which now is, to be fair, a pretty old car, the new model will be considerably lighter considering it will be using structural battery technology and gigacastings for the bottom of the car, meaning it's going to probably weigh around 300 kilos less than the current model. However, this old Model Y weighs 2,003 kilos, meaning it's more than 550 kilograms lighter than a Cadillac Lyriq. That is astronomical, and it explains why the range of the Lyriq is so low. It's only 300 miles, or maybe a bit more than 300. They say 300 plus, so maybe let's say 310 miles, whereas the range for the Tesla Model Y is 326 miles, even though it only uses a 75 kilowatt hour battery versus the very big 100 kilowatt hour battery in the Lyriq. You might be saying, yeah, Viking, you just love Tesla, so you're biased. This isn't fair. You're just bashing General Motors because that's what you do. All right, okay, maybe I am. So why don't we just compare it then against another competitor? Why don't we compare it against a competitor that is, well, identical in size, virtually identical. In fact, NIO's ES8 is now a 3-year-old vehicle. It's ancient when it comes to EV years. 3 years. That's old, right? ES8 is identical in size, nearly identical to the Cadillac Lyriq, except it's got a significantly bigger interior because, yeah, its bonnet's quite a lot shorter. But anyway, ignoring that fact, we actually know we can compare these identical spec for spec. Why? Because the NIO ES8 has exactly the same size battery, 100 kilowatt hour battery, and the ES8 weighs just over 100 kilos less than the Cadillac Lyriq. This is a 3-year-old car. Really, I do find it hard to believe that the Cadillac Lyriq is using this amazing new GM Ultium technology, and yet it's so incredibly heavy. Even in comparison to old 3-year-old Chinese cars. Now, don't get me wrong, NIO's obviously a quality brand, but to be fair, the ES8 also has the ability to swap out the battery, and that makes the car, you would think, be heavier, but it's not. Now, with the NIO ES8, you can simply drive that car into what is essentially a NIO service station. A machine will pull the battery out, put a new battery pack in there, and this all happens in about 2.5 minutes. Of course, this means when NIO build the car, they need to use more metal in order to make the battery able to come in and out of the car very easily. What about another car? The BYD Tang, which is also nearly exactly the same size as a Cadillac Lyriq. The new BYD Tang EV, which is coming out within the next month, has been updated with a 108 kilowatt hour lithium iron phosphate battery, which has more range than the Cadillac Lyriq. Now, the Tang EV is slightly shorter, but as you can see, the glass house is a bit bigger than the Cadillac Lyriq. It's 4.9 meters long, so it's 10 centimeters shorter. However, it's a much taller vehicle, 1623 millimeters versus 1725 millimeters, so it's 10 centimeter taller vehicle, meaning the interior space of the Tang is probably going to be bigger than that of the Cadillac Lyriq. Once again, weight here is lower. Even though this vehicle uses much heavier batteries and it has a bigger battery pack, it's approximately 50 kilos lighter than the Cadillac Lyriq. So, my key question here is, if the Cadillac Lyriq has GM's new future technology, if this is the beginning of GM's new future product line of amazing Ultium technology with amazing Ultium batteries, why is the car heavier than a similar vehicle using heavy lithium iron phosphate batteries? Personally, I just don't understand what's going on here. I mean, the Tang EV uses a lithium iron phosphate battery pack, and yet it's rated at 400 miles of range. Now, you might say, yeah, that's the Chinese CLTC, and I would agree with you. But even if we remove, say, 100 miles of range, we say they're exaggerating by 100 miles, which maybe they are. I don't know. Even if we say that, that still means the Tang EV does 300 miles of range, which would be identical to the Cadillac Lyriq, and yet it's using what? Lithium iron phosphate batteries, which everyone says don't have enough range. The energy density is not enough. Remember, keep in mind, lithium iron phosphate batteries coming from the world's major suppliers are due to increase in energy density by around 30 to 40% by the end of this year. Think I'm talking nonsense? Well, I'll put a link in the description below to the video I made about all the different battery companies in China who make LFP batteries and the energy densities that are going to be coming from those factories by the end of this year. So my question to you is, do you think the Cadillac Lyriq is excessively heavy, or do you think that this just doesn't matter? That I'm just barking up the wrong tree, and who cares how heavy it is? Who cares if it's heavier than the massive Cadillac Escalade? It's irrelevant. Shut up, Viking. Keep your mouth shut. We just want to hear about how great the Cadillac Lyriq is. Now let me know if that's what you think, if that's what you want to hear. I really want to know your opinion on this. But personally, I'm a little shocked at just how heavy it is. Something isn't adding up in my view. Now, once again, thank you for subscribing to the channel. It's great to see you. Hope you have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.